Yo, what's good? I'm your guide Q, and it's time for some Neckbeard Stories. Game store Neckbeard thinks he's a knight in shining armor. I, at the time 20 female, have my fair share of Neckbeard encounters, but today I'm going to tell the tale of Sir Nightbeard and his less than knightly attitude. A few years back I got dressed up to go walking around my local strip mall. I was wearing a gauzy, flowing white sundress and a flower clip in my hair. I actually felt very pretty. Most of the day I'd spent browsing, going in and out of random stores, not looking to buy anything in particular. At one end of the mall, there's a store that sells games like checkers or jigsaw puzzles, but it also sells stuff for games like D&D, Warhammer, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and general nerdy apparel/merch. I'm not into games myself, but my husband, then boyfriend, is, and I was thinking I might find something to send him as a gift. He was living in another state at the time. Enter Sir Knight, the store manager. He appears to be in his 30s, a bit taller than me, and 3 times as wide, wearing an ensemble of baggy cargo shorts, dad sandals, and a graphic design t-shirt. Instead of the signature fedora, Sir Knight is wearing a cap that I assume he stole from a production of Newsies. And yes, he does in fact have a neckbeard. Sir Knight sees me enter the store from register and smiles. I smile back and nod and go to browse, looking at dice and figurines of anime waifus. Suddenly, I see his reflection in the panel of the glass case. I turn around and Sir Knight, I shit you not, does a little bow with a flourish of his cap. SK. Good day, lady in white. Might I be of service to you? No, I'm good. Ah, I see. I would be happy to assist you. What brings you here, my dear? He winks in a way that he must think seems roguishly charming. Were you searching for something in particular? I smile politely and step back to get some distance, specifically from his dragon breath. No, I was just looking, thanks. SK, still insisting on speaking like he's Weasley from The Princess Bride. Is that so? Well, dear, feel free to ask me any inquiries on our wares. Do you want to see anything in the case? I was just about to turn him down, and then I recalled my husband mentioning he was hoping to buy a model of Nagash, but he was on a tight budget. I had extra money from my tax refund. Actually, do you guys sell Warhammer figures? Miniatures? Yeah, I think. It's called Nagash. I think it's a death god or something. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. My boyfriend plays Warhammer, and I was thinking of getting it for him. A dark shadow casts over Sir Knight's furrowed, greasy brow. The smile on his face wanes like the moon's silhouette fading in the dawn. We have a writer here, everybody! SK dropping all traces of his put-on gallantry and tells me plainly, no, we don't sell them here. Is that all? Yeah. Okay, well, I watch with some relief as he trudges back to his post and takes out his phone. Sir Knight only looks up when the bell over the door chimes as I leave. He gives me a little wave with a visibly strained attempt of a smile. I suppose I ruined his fantasy of a fair maiden venturing into his shop and being wooed by the whole milady shtick. Needless to say, I never went back. Is it bad that, like, if this wasn't a creepy situation, like, let's just throw that all out. Let's say there's some other hypothetical store owner or clerk that runs a tabletop gaming store. Like, it would be kind of fun for them to, like, be in character. It'd be even better if they sold, like, accessories for cosplayers or something like that, where you've got, like, swords and clothing and stuff, and they could be like, yes, this is the sword of 1,000 balls, or what, like, whatever they would do. I think it could be kind of fun. Now, the creepiness, not fun. Getting hit on, not fun. But the whole voice and putting on a character, it could be kind of cool. Also, I do want to give this guy some credit. Like, it could have been way worse. Like, he wasn't overtly hitting on her, and he did, like, drop the case, even though, like, yeah, he was clearly just trying to hit on her because of the way that he reacted when he heard about the boyfriend. Like, it could have been way worse. He could have gotten madder or, like, made a scene. He kind of just, I don't know, gave up and moved on. Not every neckbeard is a nasty Neanderthal. Every time I begin another doom scroll of this cringelicious sub, I'm reminded of my interactions with my old upstairs neighbor. I lived in a shoebox basement apartment of a house that was split into 2 living spaces, with me alone in the downstairs and 2 guys upstairs. One of the guys on first look was the typical neckbeard type: trench coat, fedora, a love for all things geek, and of course the quintessential neckbeard. However, this is where he diverges from the usual tropes. This man was one of the kindest and most soft-spoken people I've had the pleasure of meeting. He had immaculate hygiene, even down to his ironed clothes and polished dress shoes, and was incredibly respectful of boundaries, especially around me and my other femme-presenting friends. He was also an extremely talented DM. He was the reason I was introduced to the world of tabletop RPGs. He once put together an incredible horror campaign, complete with a soundtrack and custom cocktails. This man was a treasure, and I'm better for having known him. Edit, I feel like I should have clarified that he was a self-appointed neckbeard. He referred to himself as such all the time. And I think this is something that, like, most of the people out there listening to this, they know. It's like the aesthetic doesn't necessarily line up with all the neckbeard stereotypes, the negative ones, you know? And I think I want to make a video, like I should have done this 5 years ago, but, you know, describing what a real neckbeard is. Like, maybe even, like, assigning points to certain categories of, like, you have bad hygiene, that's 5 points. Like, you're disrespectful to women, but you claim to be the nicest guy, like 6 points over there. It could be a fun thing to do. Let me know if you'd like to see that. Alrighty, I work with an Asian obsessed Legbeard. So I work at a barbershop cutting hair with a cast of interesting and often dramatic people. I will admit that, like many people, I enjoy Asian media and even own many pieces of art from the media I consume. So meeting a fellow lover of anime is often a treat when they are a well-rounded individual with other passions outside of Asian culture. My coworker, however, lacks being this individual. She recently had broken up with her boyfriend of I don't know how long and decided to enter back into the dating pool, informing me that she wants to date specifically East Asian men as they are the only men she finds physically attractive. This woman, however, is the opposite of what I know most Asian men find attractive. Okay, that's a little bit of an assumption, but regardless, she is short, around 350 pounds, thin hair, and is what is known as moon face. Google it. It's just like a fat face. It's just a face that's like very like bloated looking, I guess I would say. That sounds mean, but like it's a mean description. So she has been on several dates since her breakup, and I always know when her date was a chubby chaser. Stupid men with their fetishes. I'm not an object to be tossed aside, was one of the many ways that she voiced her disdain for men who use her for their preferences. You see now where my breakdown is with her. She has even tried to move to where there is a higher population of East Asian men so she could expand her dating pool. I personally live in this area and take full advantage of the local food markets, restaurants, and cultural events. And I've heard these men talk about the rise of popular Asian culture and how it affects their lives. Prime example, my sibling and I went to the local East Asian market/cafe and got an order of dumplings to split before shopping as we were hungry and didn't want to get snacks and just forget the groceries we were there to actually buy. They have cheap produce. With inflation being what it is, getting anything cheaper for less of a dive is worth it. This is such unnecessary context, but anyway. A group of young men came in and they were about 22 to 26, and one of the young men was talking about the date he had just been on. This caught my attention as I'm a natural gossip, and hearing someone else's, she's just listening in on somebody else's conversation, but anyway, and hearing someone else's stories about things not going on in my life are my favorite form of entertainment. He was discriminated how it all seemed to be going well at first, and she seemed like a nice person. Then came the date. She proceeded to compare him to her favorite BTS member, and how she had the biggest crush on him, and it creeped this poor guy out. My mind immediately went to the coworker, and it broke my heart for the guy. With that story in mind, it's gotten to the point where every time this woman laments about the fact that she doesn't have an Asian boyfriend, or she can't seem to catch one, or they seem to just ignore her outright. I honestly don't care. I didn't before, and I don't even more now after overhearing that young man's tale. She's moving back to her hometown now, and I am not happy, just indifferent. This woman is absolutely miserable and has convinced everyone around her but me for some reason that she's a genuinely good person, and she's not. She's shallow with an East Asian fetish. So please give me your thoughts on this story, because I've sort of split feelings about it. I do think it's clear that this coworker is like fetishizing Asian men. I mean, you're moving into a neighborhood with more people there so that you can find an Asian guy to date, and you just talk about them in this weird way. I do think it's kind of unfair how this writer conflates what she heard in the Asian market with her coworker. It would have been nice to have like more actual concrete evidence of the way that her coworker talks about Asian dudes, because I do think there are levels appeals to like a preference versus a fetishization sort of thing. And it would be cool if somebody, it's not your responsibility, but if somebody confronted this coworker about the way that she talks about this and the way that she feels about it, you know? Because at the end of the day, I feel like preferences are perfectly fine. It's when you like turn this group of people into like some magical group and you start making assumptions about personality based on their background and all that sort of stuff that it gets weird. So if somebody could just like talk to her and be like, hey, this is kind of weird the way that you talk about this and think about it, maybe you should like audit yourself on how you feel, because it's probably not healthy for you either. All right, let's just call this a bonus story. I don't think my friend is capable of taking care of himself. I'm 21 and he's 20 and we've been friends since 2nd grade. We've shared similar interests like playing music, and as we've gotten older, smoking weed and playing music. We started bands together with other friends, but I've realized he's just not motivated enough to actually make anything. He and his brother still have good weed conversation, so we still get together and hang from time to time. Let's give them fake names, Ben and his brother Joe. More recently, I've noticed tensions rising with them and their parents. They both got their GEDs years ago and graduated early. I know both of them have taken some online classes, but I'm pretty sure at this moment they aren't. Ben has been holding down his first job for almost a year now and he works about 20 hours a week. Joe worked at the same place for one day and then worked at Taco Bell and quit on his first day. Their parents want them to move out and I think they're having trouble financially supporting them. They have moved a few times in the past 5 years, and most recently they now live in a 3-bedroom small apartment. They have a younger sister who's in high school, so now Ben lives on their couch. This was supposed to be a temporary thing because Ben told me he would be forced to move out within a month. That was about a year ago. I think the parents just threatened that but wouldn't actually force their kid to be homeless if that's what it came to. Their house is very messy, but I've noticed their mom just tries to clean as she goes. Their kids will just leave dishes and garbage in the living room. I'm 21 years old, and I didn't go to college because I didn't know what I'd do and didn't think I'd like it either. But I figured I wouldn't be a piece of shit and live at my parents' and play video games and smoke weed all day. I've worked different full-time jobs since I was 18 and moved out when I was 19. This morning I was doing my regular things like doing the dishes and sweeping and laundry, etc. And I just think that my childhood friends have zero motivation or capability to live the life I do. And it's not like I'm some Sigma grinder. He plays the anxiety, ADHD, and depression card. I have been clinically diagnosed with depression. I understand how valid mental health can be sometimes, but it just seems like he doesn't want to do anything about it but let it be an excuse for laziness. Sorry for the long post, but I would love to hear thoughts. Maybe someone can give some advice for what I can do to help him. So like, that was the end of the original post, and then he adds an edit. I'd just like to add a few things I left out. He also matches a lot of neckbeard qualifications. Overweight, never shaves, super into anime and video games, bad with hygiene. Maybe he's not a full neckbeard yet, but he's headed down that path. I've also mostly quit weed and don't smoke around him or his brother. So like, it feels like the entire story was just like, look at how shitty these dudes' lives are. But me, I've got my shit together. And then he remembers at the end, oh yeah, I'm posting this on the fucking Neckbeard subreddit. Like, I just feel like I got way too big of a window into the personal life of a family. And I'm not trying to like defend these guys for being like a burden on their family or whatever, but there were people in the comments being like, these dudes are in their early 20s. This is not that uncommon for people to be like lost in life, unmotivated, smoking too much weed, not getting anything done. But like, hopefully things get better for them. I don't know if there's anything you can do to help them. And I don't understand why there was this like whole comparison. Like, I've got my shit together. I have depression. I was diagnosed, but like everything's fine for me. Everybody's case is different. Like, one person that suffers from depression or anxiety or ADHD, they can have completely different abilities and tendencies from another person. So yeah, I hope that these guys get better. Yo, so just to make everybody aware, I do have a music channel here. My band Dear Marianne has also released 6 songs on all platforms if you're interested in checking that out. Anyway, stay hydrated, drink water, and then have a great day. I hope you do good.